You believe you are a free agent. You believe that the car you drive, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, and even the political opinions you hold are the result of your own rational, independent thought. You believe that you are the captain of your own soul. But what if I told you that this is the single greatest illusion of the modern age? What if I told you that your desires are not your own, but are being carefully manufactured, cultivated, and directed by a small, unseen group of people you have never met? In 1928, a man named Edward Bernays published a short, terrifying, and profoundly influential book called Propaganda. Bernays was not just a writer, he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. He took his uncle's dark discoveries about the unconscious mind, the hidden, primal, irrational drives that control human behavior, and applied them to the masses. He realized that if you could understand the hidden desires of the crowd, you could control them without them ever knowing it. Bernays is the father of public relations. He is the man who invented the modern concept of marketing, influencer culture, and political spin. He didn't just write about propaganda, he practiced it. He convinced women to smoke by linking cigarettes to feminism. He convinced America to eat bacon for breakfast by using doctors as authority figures. He shaped the way the world thinks. Today, we are going to dive deep into the original playbook of mass manipulation. We will uncover the concept of the invisible government, learn how to engineer consent, and discover the psychological triggers that bypass logic and hijack the human mind. This is not a book about morality, it is a book about mechanics. And whether you want to use these tools to build a business, win an election, or simply defend yourself against those who use them against you, you must understand the architecture of your own manipulation. The very first and most shocking premise of propaganda is the existence of the invisible government. Bernays writes, "The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country." Read that again. Bernays is not describing a conspiracy theory, he is describing a job description. He argues that in a complex, modern democracy, the public cannot possibly understand every issue, every policy, or every product. The world is too complicated. Therefore, a specialized class of people, public relations counsel, advertisers, politicians, media moguls, must step in to simplify the world for the masses. They must filter the information, frame the narratives, and guide the public toward correct conclusions. This is the invisible government. They do not hold office. They do not appear on ballots. But they decide what you think about, how you think about it, and what you desire. Bernays argues that this is not a bad thing. In fact, he claims it is the only way a democracy can function smoothly. Without this invisible guidance, society would descend into chaos. But the implication is chilling: your free will is largely a myth. You are being herded, gently and invisibly, toward outcomes that serve the interests of the manipulators. To understand how this manipulation works, you must understand the psychology of the crowd. This is where Bernays leverages his uncle Freud's work. Freud discovered that human beings are not rational creatures. We are driven by unconscious, primal urges: sex, aggression, fear, the desire for status, the fear of death. We repress these urges to live in society, but they never go away. They bubble beneath the surface, driving our behavior in ways we cannot articulate. Traditional advertising and political persuasion used to appeal to logic. Buy this car because it has a good engine. Vote for this man because his tax policy is sound. Bernays realized this is useless. The conscious mind is weak, the unconscious mind is a titan. To control the masses, you must bypass their intellect and speak directly to their subconscious desires. You do not sell a piano by talking about the wood and the strings. You sell it by talking about the culture and refinement it will bring to the home. You are not selling an object, you are selling a psychological transformation. You are appealing to the hidden desire for status, for love, for security. Bernays calls this focusing the spotlight of publicity. You must link the product or the idea to the deep, emotional symbols that the crowd already worships. This leads to the core technique of Bernays' philosophy, engineering consent. This is the art of getting a group of people to agree to something they might not naturally want, by framing it in a way that aligns with their existing prejudices and desires. Bernays illustrates this with his most famous campaign, Torches of Freedom. In the 1920s, it was socially taboo for women to smoke in public. It was considered unladylike. The American Tobacco Company was losing 50% of the potential market. They asked Bernays to break this taboo. Bernays didn't just run ads saying women should smoke. That would have been rejected by the conscious mind. Instead, he consulted a psychoanalyst who told him that cigarettes represented the phallus and were a symbol of male power. Women, he argued, subconsciously wanted to smoke because they wanted to equal men. Bernays seized on this. He didn't sell cigarettes, he sold feminism. He organized a group of debutantes to march in the Easter Sunday parade in New York City. At a specific signal, they all lit up cigarettes. He tipped off the press and told them to report that the women were lighting torches of freedom. The headline wrote itself. Suddenly, smoking wasn't a dirty habit, it was a symbol of liberation, of equality, of rebellion against the patriarchy. Women across the country began to smoke, not because they liked the taste, but because they wanted to feel free. Bernays had engineered consent. He had taken a commercial product and linked it to a deep, emotional, political symbol. The logic of the act was irrelevant, the emotional resonance was everything. This brings us to the second great weapon in the propagandist's arsenal, the use of third-party authorities. Bernays knew that the public is skeptical of direct salesmen. If a butcher tells you his meat is good, you don't believe him. But if a doctor tells you his meat is good, you believe it. Bernays famously used this to boost the sales of bacon. The Beechnut Company wanted to sell more bacon. They didn't run ads saying bacon tastes good. Instead, Bernays asked a physician, "Do you agree that a heavy breakfast is better than a light breakfast because the body needs energy?" The doctor said yes. Bernays then asked, "Are foods like bacon and eggs better for supplying that energy?" The doctor agreed. Bernays then contacted 5,000 other doctors and asked them the same question. Thousands agreed. He then went to the press and published the findings. 4,500 doctors assert bacon is better. The headline exploded. Bacon sales skyrocketed. The public didn't realize that the doctors weren't being paid to endorse bacon. They were just agreeing to a general physiological statement. But the authority of the doctor transferred to the product. The logic was flimsy, but the authority was absolute. In the modern world, this is the origin of the influencer, the expert panel, and the scientific study cited in every commercial. We trust the badge, the white coat, and the title, even when the connection to the product is tenuous at best. But how do you get the press to cover your message in the first place? This is where Bernays introduces the concept of creating the event. You cannot just issue a press release. The world is too noisy. You must create a spectacle. You must stage an event that is so visual, so dramatic, that the media has no choice but to cover it. Bernays calls this pictorial publicity. He understood that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a moving picture is worth 1,000,000. He would stage events specifically for the camera. If he wanted to promote a book, he wouldn't just send a review copy, he would have the author do something outrageous or visually striking that embodied the book's theme. He taught that you must dramatize the idea. If you want to promote a new type of shoe, don't talk about the leather. Organize a marathon where the runners wear the shoes. If you want to promote a hotel, don't talk about the beds. Host a massive, exclusive party there and leak the guest list. You must create news, not just advertise. You must force the world to look at you. Now, we must confront the ethical elephant in the room. Is this evil? Bernays addresses this directly. He argues that propaganda is a neutral tool, like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a house, or you can use it to break a skull. Bernays believed that propaganda was essential for democracy. He argued that without it, the public would be uninformed, chaotic, and easily swayed by demagogues. He believed that public relations counsel were the benevolent shepherds of society, guiding the bewildered herd toward progress, health, and stability. He used his skills to promote public health campaigns, to sell war bonds during World War II, and to encourage international understanding. But history has shown that the tool is rarely used for benevolence. The same techniques Bernays used to sell bacon and cigarettes were used by Goebbels to sell hatred. They are used today to sell polarization, to sell unnecessary consumerism, and to sell political division. The invisible government does not always have your best interests at heart. Often, it has the interests of its shareholders, its donors, or its own power. As we conclude this deep exploration of propaganda, it is vital to understand that you cannot opt out of this game. You are already in it. Every time you scroll through social media, every time you watch the news, every time you walk down a supermarket aisle, you are being subjected to the engineering of consent. You are being nudged, prodded, and shaped by unseen hands. The only defense against manipulation is awareness. You must learn to recognize the triggers. When you feel a sudden, intense emotional reaction to a news story, ask yourself, who is framing this, and what do they want me to feel? When you see an expert endorsing a product, ask yourself, what is their authority based on, and who is paying them? When you desire a product you don't need, ask yourself, what hidden psychological symbol is this product selling me? Edward Bernays opened the door to the modern mind. He showed us that we are not the rational beings we think we are. We are emotional, herd-like, suggestible creatures, driven by shadows we cannot see. You can use this knowledge to become a master manipulator yourself, engineering consent for your own business, your own art, or your own political cause. Or, you can use it to build a fortress around your own mind, refusing to be a puppet in someone else's theater. But make no mistake, the invisible government is watching. They are studying your habits. They are mapping your desires. And they are waiting for the perfect moment to light the torch. Thank you for joining this journey into the dark art of mass persuasion. If this revelation resonates with you, if it challenges you to look at the world with a sharper, more skeptical eye, share it with someone who needs to wake up. Remember, you are not just a consumer, you are the product. Go forth, recognize the engineering, question the consent, and reclaim your own mind.